using an iPad or an iPhone?
So, first of all, we like to say if someone does have a vision impairment or is low vision, it's a few little simple things about setting it up that are in the settings. And don't worry too much about these because we can always, we can email the details of these things because otherwise it gets a bit tough to kind of write it all down. But in the settings, the first thing we like to start with, it sounds really simple, but just is a black background. We say that contrast makes things a lot easier to see if you do have low vision, so it's all that bigger, bolder and brighter. So just having a black background, it sounds simple, but it really makes the apps pop out, a little easier to see. Because if we have coloured photos and photos that are really detailed, it just makes it that much harder. And the next thing to do is, I'm aware that you might not be able to see what I'm holding up, but I'll describe it, is we set the text to a larger, but the trick is not to go so large that you're kind of reading word by word, so a happy medium. And then also putting it on bold. I'm not sure if you can see this, but so those sort of three things combined just make it a little bit easier to see.
How do you get black background?
So the black background, if we go into settings and we scroll down a little bit, there's a section called wallpaper.
Oh yes.
And if you just go into that and you just say choose a new wallpaper, there's a section called stills, as in still photos, and that's the ones you want to pick, and at the end there's a black one that you can set. Because the other ones are dynamic, all your pictures, and they move a little bit, so it's just a little bit trickier to see. And display and brightness is where you can turn on bold and also alter the brightness and the size of the text. And then really for vision specific, there's a section called accessibility, and that's where everything vision and hearing and also dexterity belongs to make it a little bit more user friendly. So again, we're sort of from the vision side of things, but there's a few things that are quite handy to do. So one is the zoom function, that you can actually zoom the screen, so that you would notice that sometimes you can zoom on an iPad and iPhone on certain sites, but not always on the main screen. So that allows that to happen. Another thing you can do is invert the colours. So this one is black on white, but you can actually change it to be the opposite, so white on black. And for someone with low vision, that contrast is really helpful. But it's all preference if you try these things and see if they work for you. And then two things that I really like are one called speak screen. So if you're on something like a news article, and especially if you're on a smaller screen than this is obviously a really large iPad, or on your iPhone where it's obviously just a little bit too tough to see.
That's an iPad, not a computer.
Yeah, that's an iPad, but it's a very large one. So a lot of people have small
It is
ones.
a large one.
That's an iPad Pro.
Yeah, that's it. So you can this is this setting called speak screen. So once that's turned on the settings, if you swipe down with two fingers,
Thursday the 31st of October. Thursday
it'll actually read out what's on your screen. So it's really helpful for something like a news article. And I see you have an iPhone there. It might be a bit too tough to read a whole article on that, but you can just swipe down. You can skip through sections and change the speed, and that's just with two finger swipe. So that's really helpful. And then if you're in a text message, which is more applicable for your phone, you can hold down onto it and it'll come up with an option saying speak. So that's something else that's quite helpful. And then also dictate. So whenever you're anywhere where there's a field of text, there's a little microphone that pops up, and you can, we're not connected to the internet so it won't work, but it's down the bottom it's to the left of the space bar. Yeah, it's a little microphone and it gives you this audio feedback, a little ting noise, and you can dictate everything that you would type out. So for something that may take a long time to text, I mean, I even use it to be honest, just when I'm being lazy, just to sort of speed things up.
So for someone with low vision, it's measured by someone's visual acuity. Now for a normal person, they'll be able to read at 6 meters. So this image, for those who can't see, it's just an eye chart. At 6 meters, they'll be able to read a certain line. So pretty much the bottom line at 6 meters. For people who have a vision loss, as they go higher up the line, they will be considered, their visual acuity would decrease. And that's based on at 6 metres what size print they can read. So the cutoff for driving is 6/12. So I don't have the measurements here, but at a certain level, I would probably say about here, that's the cutoff. As we go a bit higher, 6/18 is considered as low vision. 6/60 is considered as legally blind. Normal vision for people, we would know the American terminology is 20/20 vision. In Australia, it's 6/6. So you just think about it.
How will I tell?
So
Your
your eye test. So going to your optometrist, they can run through the eye chart. They'll measure you at 6 metres, which is the standard in Australia. And at 6 metres, what level of the reading chart you can read. So I'm not giving it very accurate, but that's roughly how it's determined. But it's also determined also by your visual field. So some people can have a fantastic visual acuity, but their peripheral vision is severely declined. And that's you? Yeah, so with visual fields, they go in degrees, and I'm not sure if any of you ladies and gentlemen have been to an eye specialist or the optometrist and
Next week.
Next week? Great, fantastic.
Is my half-yearly one.
Oh, brilliant. So they'll get you to sit into to look into this machine. So they'll do test one eye, and then they'll test the second eye. And you have to press the buzzer to when you see like the squiggly box thing. And that will determine your visual field. And some people who have less than 10 degrees would be considered as legal blindness. So there are a number of conditions that could cause peripheral vision loss or central field loss. So for some people with macular degeneration, that's your central vision. And I did bring some of our simulation glasses of what it would be like to have certain eye conditions. And that's the interesting thing. So you actually, for someone to have a normal visual acuity, you don't actually need to have both eyes.
No.
Because
Really?
the brain actually does something very amazing. So if you were to cover over one eye, your other eye will compensate for what you've lost on your right. So your scanning hasn't changed significantly. You might just need to turn your head a little bit more to see what's on the other side of you. So, you know, the brain trains itself to compensate for what has been lost. So it is quite common for people who have vision in only one eye. They're still able to drive, they're still able to do many normal things. They might experience a bit more eye strain when it comes to reading, but that can be correct, I guess, with the glasses and also taking regular breaks. And I'm sure the optometrist can guide anyone in that situation on what to do there. But yeah,
And good light.
and good lighting, yes.
Yeah.
So if you ever chat to some of our OTs, they always say bigger, bolder, and brighter. So they're the 3 Bs to live by when, you know, trying to enhance someone's life. There are a few ways in which someone would know is the best time to make a referral to us, and that's when pretty much glasses aren't cutting it anymore. You've been diagnosed with a condition that's met, you know, you're trying to get it treated, trying to get it under control, but your specialist might say there's not much we can do at this stage. Or things like reading becomes a bit difficult, you know, bumping into things. Those are the signs when... So at the moment with the elderly, I would say macular degeneration is the biggest eye disease that is available, and that's just the long term is age-related macular degeneration.
It's hereditary too, isn't it?
There is some.
My husband is.
Yeah, I've heard in families they say, oh, my mother had
Yes.
macular degeneration. Now I'm developing macular degeneration. They say glaucoma has a bigger heredity. Glaucoma is hereditary. This one is very much in the family history, and that all has to do with the eye pressure as well.
And I choose to relax.
We don't use it that much yet. And you use Siri as well.
You don't use Siri, do you?
That might be another. But there is, and the dictation, that's
a bit
definitely a
scary.
really good one.
Oh,
Because
because that will make things a lot quicker. When you're writing a text message, or maybe you don't text. You don't text. But if you wanted to, that's a way to make it really easy, because you can press that little microphone and you can just speak the message as opposed to trying to find. For you, it might be a bit too hard to find it. It's already popped up. The first one. So you can click on that first one. Yeah.